Hi and welcome to the Mind Body Project. It's Eldine here. Welcome again. Thanks for coming back. I've just been looking at some of the depression websites and the on Facebook, especially looking around. Before I browse around to see what they're up to, see what solutions they're coming up with for their clients and people who really struggling at the minute. I was very disappointed, to be honest with you. A lot of the language patterns that they use and a lot of the there's a lot of, it seems very pessimistic in nature. I know they've got good hearts and they're trying to do their best and they're doing best with the resources they've got available to them, but I was sort of disappointed with more people seem to be focused on what they are called, so what they're labelled. In fact, I've seen some people going, well, I'm manic depression, I've got anxiety, I've got bipolar, I've got unipolar, and it's like, I'm sitting there, they've been doing this for years, been trying to work out what they're called for years and years. And so most people have been sort of caught up in the labels, is what I'm thinking here. And it's more, they're looking at what their identity, rather than the behaviours that they're doing to get there. They're actually looking at what they are called. And if you've been doing that for a year, if you've been focusing on that for 1 year, then I sort of know what your life's been like without even sort of speaking to you, because it's going to be suffering, it's going to be frustration, it's going to be uncertainty. And that's really what, if you're focusing on the solution rather than the problem, then you're going to experience a better life. So most people, when they're looking at depression and what they're doing to keep them there, they have to be going through what I call the triad of depression. Yeah. So first of all, physiology. So they're probably doing the same things. They probably sit in the same chair when they get depressed, or doing the same activities, such as maybe drinking or staying in the same place, and they're bored. They're probably bored as well. But if you look at someone who is depressed, if you get them to stand in the mirror and, okay, get depressed, okay, on a scale, because you're not always one certain depressed, sometimes you're a bit more depressed one day than another. But so on a scale of 0 to 10, okay, what are you now? Okay, get more depressed, get to a 9. Let's see what you look like in the mirror. And what they, if you watch them, if you watch yourself doing it, then you're going to notice that your physiology is different. In other words, your body posture is probably leaning forwards, head forwards like this, tilting. Your breathing is probably very shallow as well. And that's, again, that's a state of depression. You have to be focusing on something. Let me show you this again. You have to be focusing on something to keep you depressed. It may be a video, internal image in your head. It may be a picture. It may be any sort of picture, again, a bright thing of something going very bad or something very upsetting. Yeah? You have to be doing all of those 3 things to keep you depressed. Yeah. So the other thing is language patterns. So you are probably saying things in your head that are not very nice. So it could be things like, why am I so bad? Why has this always happened to me? And it's more the tonality. The tonality is the key here. Because if you said to yourself in a funny voice, why has it always happened to me? Then you're going to have a different experience. Yeah. So the 3 things, again, you have to be doing. So you have to be doing something with your body, yeah, and your breathing and your posture. You have to be focusing on something that's bad as well. And again, a video playing or replaying some bad things in your head. And you have to be having a language pattern. So in other words, you have to be saying things that are not useful words. So we are very influenced by what we say and what our words are. And we can judge someone's experience by what the words were that we use. So, but if you're focusing, if your words are, because there's a very different thing between I want to be healthy and I don't want to be ill. A very different things to the unconscious mind. Yeah. So they are very 2 different goals. One of them's away from, motivated, so I want to get far enough away from something. And the other one is going towards something pleasurable. And that's the only 2 ways we're motivated. So if you are focused on what you don't want, you are probably going to experience more of it. And what I've seen on the depression websites, they're all focused on what they don't really want. They don't want, why do you want to know what you're called? What does that matter? You want to know, how do I get from here to here? Yeah, how do I go from feeling like this to feeling like this? That's all you need, instructions to do that. That's all you need. You don't need to be focusing on what you're called, and what, because depression is a behaviour. A lot of people label it as an illness. Yeah, I label hypertension as a behaviour. Yeah, because you have to be doing something to get there. It's the same with obesity. You have to be doing something to get there. Yeah, most of the time, that is. So if you are focused on something, what you don't want, and your head is focused this way, let's say a pain is over here. Yeah, pleasure is over here. Yeah. What happens is, this is what happens with someone with depression. This is why relapse happens as well. So what they do, they're really, really in the pain. They'll go away from it as far as until they don't experience any more pain, and then they will stop. But the problem is, if you're facing in this direction, if you're facing towards the pain, you are still going that direction. Yeah, you're still going to be heading back that way, rather than getting away from it, which is fine because some people are away from motivated. But if you turn around, if you then go, okay, what is it that I actually want? Yeah, what is it that I want? What is it that what are my dream goals? Yeah, what is it that I can do? What is it that I'm here to do? When I die, what is it I'm going to be known for? Yeah, because we're only on this earth once in this form, at least. So what is it that you want to be known for when you leave here? Because even though you maybe experience depression in a bad state at the moment, you still have power beyond what you think you're capable of. So you have amazing power. Yeah. As soon as you think depression is an illness, is something that you have, then you're taking away, you're giving up your power. Because if you don't start thinking of it as a behaviour, then you get to suffer, because then it's now an identity. It's now something that's a part of you, when it's not. It's a way that you're behaving. And if you want evidence of that, then again, you try and get in the state of depression while you're jumping up and down doing this, because you can't, because your physiology's changed. Yeah. So if you're getting in the same physiology over and over and over again, yeah, if you're experiencing depression over and over again, then you need to change your physiology. What are you focusing on? Are you focusing on bad things? If you focus on bad things, you will experience bad things. What are you saying to yourself? What questions are you asking yourself? Are you asking yourself, why am I like this? Why am I so bad? Why am I such an idiot? Then your unconscious mind has to answer them. It has to answer. It doesn't want to, but it has to. So if you really want something successful, you better start, one, changing your questions. If you want to start experiencing, how do I get to this? How do I, even though in spite of this state at the moment, how do I then get to where I'm experiencing so much pleasure and enjoying myself, enjoying my life, enjoying everybody around me, and I'm making great connections with other people? How do I do that? These are the sort of questions you need to be asking yourself, not what am I called? What's my label? Because again, if that's the way that you're thinking, if you think something happens to you, then you're going to suffer. You are going to be suffering, and unfortunately, many people are. That is their belief, that it's something that's happening to them. But I mean, all of us have events that happen in our life. All of us have negative events at some stage of our life. I mean, I've had them as well. I had one where I split up with someone and I had nowhere to live, I had no money, and what I decided to do then was test all of this stuff that I'd learned and actually use it on myself. And that's the time when you go, right, let's see if this stuff really works. But the first thing I wanted to do, I didn't want to speak to anybody because I was in such a negative state, that the only thing I thought, well, how do I feel good? Because that's the question that you need to be asking yourself. If you're depressed, how do I feel good. Yeah. So the first thing I learned is, okay, I don't want to speak to anyone because I just didn't want to even do any techniques on myself. I didn't want to do any of that. So the first thing is, how do I feel good? What's immediate right now? Because that's what you'll do when you're depressed. How do I feel good? Most people will do drugs, most people do alcohol, but again, they're going to feel worse later. But what is it that feels good and is going to last and is going to help me feel good in a long way? And so exercise. I love exercise, and I'm certain that that's going to make me feel good now. As soon as I've done it, or as soon as I'm doing it, it's going to make me feel good right now. So again, let me show you. So physiology is the one that I would usually go to first, because sometimes you just don't feel like speaking to people. You just don't. So physiology, first of all, so you need to change your physiology, and regularly. Because once you do that, you start feeling good, because you break the pattern of depression. So you're starting to break it. But essentially, depression is a pattern of physiology, it is a pattern of focus, and it is a pattern of language patterns. So it's a patterns. So you need to start breaking these patterns to change your state. Yeah. If you start doing that from today, again, you can do it from today. You can change your breathing. You can do deep breathing rather than shallow breathing exercises, which is going to come on one of my later sessions. You can change your physiology. So in other words, eating as well, that's physiology. If you eat crap, you are going to feel crap. That's the way. If you eat good, you're going to feel good. Yeah, that's the way it works. Yeah. So that physiology, again, if you're in a lousy physiology, then you're going to feel lousy. That's the way it works. If you focus on bad things, you're going to feel bad. So it's time for you today to stop doing that. It's time for you today to start breaking these patterns, because they are patterns. Depression is a pattern. It's a strategy. There's a trigger and there's an end point. Yeah. And that, if you start thinking of it in that way rather than something you have, then you're going to start taking your power back, and you're going to start making changes in your life for the better. This is Eldin from the Mind Body Project. Thanks for listening.